Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
This show is a proud member of the Anazal Podcast Network.
Who was the Sith Lord who trained Darth Plagueis? Who is Darth Tenebrous? Guys, this is Systematic Geekology. We are the Priest of the Geeks, continuing on in our Faces Behind Us series and our Star Wars week as it is. This, of course, being led today by Christian Ashley, your host for the day, but not your only host. I'm joined again by the true Sith Lord, Darth Pentecostus himself, to contrast my Darth Bapticus, TJ Blackwell. How's it going, TJ?
Good.
Perfect. Monosyllabic as always, just as the world needs. All right, so TJ, what have you been geeking out on recently?
Nothing.
Peek behind the camera. We're recording this after recording the longest episode we've ever done together. We had to split it up into two. Maybe that's happened by now, maybe not. Something to look forward to, if nothing else. Just to be nicer to our editor. So, yeah, we haven't really done too much since then, but I did prepare this list early on, and I just now noticed that I exited out of it like an idiot. Oh, there it is. So I saw The Mummy, or if you see it stylized, the Lee Cronin's Mummy, which was way better than I thought it would be. I actually really enjoyed it a lot. A fresh take on everything. Not every decision I'm big on, but at the end of the day, like it served as a fine enough horror film.
Oh, I was actually able to be off on one day to go see Speed Racer in theaters, which, oh man, if you missed it and you never got to see it in theaters, hopefully they do it again, because what a movie.
Yeah, it is definitely a spectacle, trying to recreate the original, anime into live action form. And I think they do a good enough job at that.
They do really. I think it's the best live action anime adaptation of all time. Easily.
All right. So moving into our discussion today, we're talking about Darth Tenebrous. Now, most of you may not be familiar with him. That's because he's a very minor figure, especially in canon now, since the only reason we know about any of these Darths is because of the whole, Sith Eternal, blah, 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 fleet nonsense and Rise of Skywalker in the midst of a lot of nonsense in the sequel trilogy. I'm going to stop now before I go any further. But the legend stuff, there is still plenty around. For his character, based off of the Darth Plagueis novel, among many other things that were added really close to the Disney merger. So, TJ, this is based around, after, the Army of Darkness and Lords of Light and all that mess. I think I butchered the names in the Jedi and Sith Wars of the 1000 BBY and a little before that. We have Darth Bane, as we've covered in another episode, create the rule of two, which is how we get the master and apprentice we eventually see in Phantom Menace. So can you explain to the good people what the rule of two is, why that matters for our character here, Tenebrous?
Right. So the rule of two is kind of a guiding principle of the Sith as we know them in the modern era, which was instated by Darth Bane because he saw the bloat of the Sith in his era, and how it pulled them in different directions, made them weaker. The discord that was sown within their ranks, he thought we would do much better without. He also wanted the power for himself, of course.
It was just fashion.
So he killed them all. Instated the rule of two. Said there should always be two, no more, no less. Master and apprentice, and the apprentice should usurp the master.
One to wield the power, the other crave it.
Yep. Yep. So that matters to Tenebrous because he had the powers of force precognition, precogs, which he kind of gradually lost over time because of some stuff that he did. And the thing is, with the rule of two, no one follows it. So it's really the rule of three. It's like the rule of 2.5.
Yeah.
You've got masters with 2 apprentices, apprentices with an apprentice, everything. Tenebrous wanted to utilize the rule of 2 to project his consciousness across time so that he could eventually possess the body of the chosen one, which would have been possible for him because of the rule of 2, because he, had a 100% chance if he just kept the chain going to eventually get to the chosen one, however long that took. So that's why it's relevant for him.
Yeah, the rule of 2 is one of those very interesting things in canon and legends, where you get the idea of, in the past, the Sith were, like you said, very bloated and like multiple Sith all over the place. And this is practically every story told back then of a lot of Sith, a lot of Jedi, a lot of nonsense, a lot of people die. Rinse, repeat. Normally the Sith start infighting, which allows the Jedi to rally and then able to kill most of them off. Some remnants remain, and then they regain their forces, and then they strike back, yada, yada, yada. Bane sees all this, and he's like, nah. Like, even if it means letting the Jedi win for right now, they're not going to win once my rule of 2 is done with them. Because the fewer Sith you have, the fewer opportunities to create infighting, to cause, breakaway factions and anything like that, civil wars. So yeah, it's still a problem because Sith, by their very nature, want to control, want to be in charge, but you're cultivating that. You have an apprentice.
And it's in the creed. It still is in the very identity of rule of 2, is that you're still going to do a little infighting.
Yeah. And ultimately your goal as the master is to die so that your apprentice can take over and then be stronger than you. Hopefully they find someone that they can train to be stronger than them. Rinse, repeat. It takes 1,000 years. Palpatine is like the ultimate, nah, I ain't going to follow that rule. I'm just going to use it for my own ends, which actually works for him. But I would argue against Bane's wishes because, he wins, but he doesn't win totally like he could have if he had actually done what he was supposed to do. Tenebrous, we see along the line of Sith, is the guy who ends up becoming the master of Darth Plagueis, first mentioned in Revenge of the Sith. We will see, he actually appears briefly in The Acolyte, which is around the time he would have been alive. And it's debated about who would have been his apprentice at that point in time. It got canceled, and I couldn't care less. So, anything you want to add about Tenebrous before we move forward?
If we don't get any more in-depth into him, he's a pretty cool character. Bith, you don't see a lot of Bith that aren't playing instruments in Star Wars.
We'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, that's kind of important. So Tenebrous himself, I will also say, is not the Sith you kind of expect. We'll get into his master later on, who we don't have a name for. That's not given to us. But they were researching things about the Force that actually kind of got the Jedi to realize that the Sith were still active because they sensed a wound in the Force that only could have been created by a Sith, but they don't know who they are. But Tenebrous, at that same time as he's researching this, is also developing starships and weapons for multiple different systems and fleets. That's how he kind of gets in with the banking clan and the Trade Federation way before they become involved in anything. And it's very fascinating how he's wheeling and dealing. He's like a businessman, but also a Sith Lord.
Yeah, he is kind of the blueprint for Palpatine. Tenebrous was the first one who was a major political industry player at the same time as a Sith Lord. And he actually was massively influential and kind of gave rise to the conditions in the universe that we see during the prequels, where the banking clan is strong, Trade Federation's burgeoning force in Tenebrous's time. So there actually is a lot there. Yeah, it's just a shame that no one seems to care about him at all even a little bit.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of one of those things too, that by their nature, no one's really speaking about the succession line and the rule of 2 because no one's writing down their history or anything, because that kind of defeats the purpose. Outside of them making like their own holocrons and the like, no one's supposed to know they exist until the big reveal happens. And you would expect maybe that person, whoever it was, would have told about who the rest of them were. If nothing else, to be like, hey, without them, I wouldn't be here. But we know with Palpatine being the guy, and he's not really a big sharer. So I think he knew who they were, but he didn't really like publicly announce anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things we do ask in our Faces Behind the series is that the question of if this character doesn't exist, if Tenebrous is not there in the line of succession for the Rule of Two, how would the story progress?
Hey friends, it's your pal Will Rose here, and let me break the fourth wall a moment and look directly at you through the camera or speak directly to you in your earbuds. Yep, I'm talking to you, Susie. You too, Chad. You can now support Systematic Geekology on Fourth Wall. That's a website. You'll find all of our episodes, incredible merch like shirts and hoodies and mugs. Chad, I would love to see you in one of those shirts out in the wild. You get bonus episodes. We answer bonus questions. We have special shout outs. We have certain episodes that you pick. So you help us create and curate the content that we put out for the world to hear. You even get free merch. And you can support the show at different levels. You could join at the free level. Yep, we love free members, free support. Join it. Or you could become a sidekick for as little as $5 a month. You could join the elves and dwarves for $10 a month. You could become a wizard for $15 a month, or you could go to divinity school and become a cleric for $20 a month. And that's way cheaper than going to seminary, believe me. Or at $25 a month, you could become a superhero. And let me just say, we love all of our listeners, whether you support us at the free level or the superhero level. We love you. We love geeking out with you. Like, support, share the show. Love you.
Well, it depends on how you mean. Not there. Is he just replaced by some other guy? Or
it would have been a different apprentice.
Okay. Different apprentice means the story still does happen, but I do think it would actually have a pretty big effect. Tenebrous is described as like a masterful shipbuilder, hugely influential. So if nothing else, visually, the ships would be less cool. If absolutely nothing else, I do also think he does play a pretty vital role in kind of manipulating the forces in the universe at large to kind of align with what he sees as Palpatine's era. So without Tenebrous, who knows? Maybe no Darth Vader.
Yeah,
no Sheev.
I take a more Sheev, good old Sheev. I'll be frank with you, Your Majesty. I think I take a more extremist view here, in that things go completely off the rails without Tenebrous. In that, well, someone else is chosen to become the apprentice of his unnamed master. Well, that apprentice is not going to think the exact same way that Tenebrous does. Like, he's not going to set Plagueis' parents up together, so there's no Darth Plagueis, which means that he's not going to choose Palpatine as his apprentice. So who knows what that does for everything else? I mean, I'm sure the Force will still, virgin birth Anakin at some point in time. But who's the Sith Lord that's going to try and take advantage of that? Well, we don't know, because it's not going to happen the same way. Yeah. Which is
technically minor character.
Yeah,
it's probably the biggest impact on the story so far.
Which is a good thing. You want characters like this to matter. Like, their absence would cause issues for how the story goes. And I'll repeat that as much as I have to in this. It's like, these characters, if they're not there, they're not going to be able to set up things that we like in our stories. And Tenebrous didn't exist until the Luceno novel, which once again is very close to the Disney merger. So it's kind of a pseudo canon because it's kind of close enough. But like, some people don't consider it canon, some people do. I do, because it adds a lot of really great lore to, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, to the story. And it's just a well-written story too. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, which completely fair.
Right. So in this situation, another thing we're asking throughout this whole series is that would we rather be the mentor or the influencer in this series? Tenebrous or Plagueis?
Well, knowing the fates of Tenebrous and Plagueis, I don't know if I want to be either of them. I'm going to choose Plagueis
Okay.
I'm going to choose Plagueis. Just if for no other reason than to know that when I die, I'm going to be dead.
Yeah, Tenebrous's ending is
Brutal.
Brutal. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, they both suck. I don't want to choose one, but the very nature of the question means I have to. So I guess, gun lightsaber to my head. I'm also going to choose Plagueis because that means I could choose not to use Palpatine as my apprentice. He could have a very unfortunate accident.
I'll kill that kid.
Yeah. I'll kill Star Wars Hitler. I'm fine with that. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'll do it right now. Just give me the opportunity. So that means I choose someone else, and that means I still die because the ultimate goal is to take over the Republic in the image of the Sith with the rule of 2. So that means my apprentice is going to usurp that position from me, but it means I've trained them well. If they do it right, if they not pull a Palpatine and do it because he's Palpatine and he does it for to be in power completely, I assuming my morals are off, I'd be okay with that ending.
Mm-hmm. Also, before you get too far away from the question, Tenebrous I do like a lot because he kind of is the culmination of Bane's idea of utilizing Sith sorcery, which Tenebrous has no talent for. He does Sith science, which is pretty cool. But Bane's idea of possession to continue to be the one in power while still utilizing the apprentice's body, which we're kind of hinted at does work at least a little bit for him, or at least almost works. Tenebrous kind of runs with that, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that too.
And it is part of the kind of hypocrisy of Bane at the end is that he does want to continue being the guy, even though that's against his rule that he established. But he's also a bad guy. So
is it against the rule, or does it mean she just didn't win?
I mean, from a certain point of view, you could say that.
So,
all right. So let's get into the influences behind Darth Tenebrous himself. We have, of course, the very notable unknown Twi'lek Sith Master. He does not have a name, and we know next to nothing about him other than he and Tenebrous were doing some wacky stuff together at one point in time. So what do you think about unknown Twi'lek Sith Master? Long may he reign.
Long may he reign. Pretty awesome. I understand the an author not wanting to commit to creating too many Sith because of the rule of 2. They want to leave it open for other authors to, jump in. It's like, okay, well, I can write this story about a Sith, Lord, and I can name him and everything. And he has to be a Twi'lek, and then we can bunch it right up. I would like to have the entire lineage mapped out from Bane to Vader. Personally, I think it'd be cool. But hey, I get it. I understand. I've written enough to know sometimes you just want to be like, I'm not writing that.
Leave it to someone else.
I'm not writing that. Let someone else do it. So I'm a big fan of the unknown Twi'lek Sith Lord. Big fan.
Yeah. What little we have of him is fascinating in that he's the explanation in universe for why they can know about the rule of 2. Outside of what little they did get with the Bane and Zana stuff, they kind of knew something then, but there were 800 years in between then and at that point in time, current history. So this is 800 years after they last felt the dark side of the Force. The Jedi feel a wound in the Force because of the unknown Twi'lek Sith Master's machinations. He messes with it enough to where all Jedi go, oh no, that's a bad. That shouldn't be happening.
Yep.
And he must be powerful for that to happen.
Yeah, and this time we're in High Republic era, I want to say. If my timeline's right.
I think this would be he was Tenebrous was
Republic.
Born somewhere, it says on Wikipedia, on the legend side, anywhere from 247 to 167 BBY, which is a long time, don't get me wrong. But he killed his master anywhere from 167 to 124 BBY. Still a long period of time, but not nearly as bad. So High Republic starts like 200 something, 232 BBY, I think. Someone else can correct me. So yeah, we're still kind of in that period.
Yeah, so like there's some powerful Jedi around.
Yeah.
He's taking some risks.
Very true. And the other cool thing that I find about him that you kind of learn is that he was attempting to create a virus alongside Tenebrous to sever a Jedi's connection to the Force. But it was one of those things that ultimately just they couldn't figure out how to do it without also them losing their connection to the Force. So they kind of gave up on the idea. What you think? Yeah. Cool plan. Baller plan if it worked.
Plan. Yeah, could have been awesome. Could have been awesome. The buddy would have loved the Old Republic. It's like they figured it out. You traumatize somebody enough, you at least temporarily sever their connection to the Force.
Yeah. Or you strip yourself in the case of the exile.
Yeah. So ambitious guy. I like it when the Sith get a little different. They're not just manipulating the Force. I like Sith sorcery, Sith science, like Tenebrous calls it. I'm a fan, and it's a fun idea. And Tenebrous does take it, and he uses it as a basis for his Maxichlorians.
Yes.
So the influence is there.
All right. So next up on our docket, we do have the Moon Sith, Muun, Darth Plagueis himself. So how do you feel like he is an influencer to his master?
Darth Plagueis the Wise. You get a lot. Most of our information on Tenebrous comes from this book, or his Plagueis' book. Well, at least a good bit of it. It's hard. So Tenebrous is a hard character to talk about because he gets influence from the future, which is a lot of how that works for him, even as he loses the ability to do so. So he does learn more than you'd think from his apprentice, because he also, once he invades Darth Plagueis' mind, learns a little bit more from him. Does that make sense? Is what I'm saying making sense?
Yes. It's hard to talk about a power like that because of how the time differences work and like what knowledge do I have of the present versus the future. But also, I'm also in someone else's mind at certain points in time. Am I in their body? Am I taking control? It's a weird one to write around, and yet it's also super fun at the same time because it's creative. And what Lucino does in multiple of the novels he did in the old canon is be very creative with how the Force was explored, the galaxy was explored. So even if I don't pretend to understand everything at times, I do enjoy what he's doing because it's way different than, oh no, Jedi versus Sith or Rebels versus Empire. Not to say those are bad stories, but when you get a lot of that together, it kind of runs together.
Yeah, he writes good Sith stories, and I love a good Sith story.
Yeah. So Plagueis himself is an interesting figure because, of course, we hear about him the first time in an obvious and I was that little boy kind of story from Palpatine to Anakin of Darth Plagueis the Wise until he was killed. It's like, oh, what a tragedy. Who could have done such a thing? Who would be heinous enough and evil enough to do it? Couldn't be me. Not the obviously evil Palpatine.
No, never.
So we are
Sheev
colored
Palpatine,
by that experience.
Evil?
No, never. Good old Sheev would never be that
the
guy.
politician? Senator?
No. Like, he's
Sheev
a hero.
Palpatine killed those people?
Like, he did what he could to save the Naboo. Like, the no confidence vote was called in his favor. Like, come on. Like, he couldn't be the bad guy. But of course, Plagueis does, end up learning under Tenebrous, deciding he's going to do his own thing. Like, they explore some of the things that Tenebrous had done, with his former master. But like, there's some retroviruses they try and create to mess with things that actually enable Plagueis to use some of his abilities to try and latch on to other people, other Sith, to take over their minds. But they're just two different people. And that's good because it creates a lot of good conflict between them. And both of them are looking ahead in different ways.
Yeah, Darth Plagueis also has a cool set of powers that doesn't really get explored in Sith stories. Plagueis does have the power to heal. Like they say in the quote, couldn't save himself though. Yes. There's a really funny song by a band called Canadian Softball, which classic Midwest emo band name, but it's called Sheev Palpatine. And they're just delivering the Darth Plagueis monologue in like that whiny, yelling voice with dramatic, like complex guitar parts going on in the background. Great song. Check it out. But Plagueis is one of the more interesting forces in the universe at the time. Definitely.
Yeah. And of course, he's a huge influence on Palpatine and all the stuff he does. He's not the best master as far as reining in his apprentice, but that is what it is. We also have good old Darth Venomous, and that's more towards. Let's see. Hold on one second. Venomous. Go ahead, TJ. Yeah, because he is also an apprentice of Tenebrous.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, they all break the rules. Tenebrous had 2 apprentices. I don't think they were at the same time, really. There was some overlap. But it sucks that we can't say Darth Tenebrous was the only Bith Sith because of Venomous. But he did choose a Bith to succeed him, and I don't even remember why they didn't work out. But Plagueis takes some offense to that, and also the fact that Venomous starts calling himself Darth without having earned the title.
Yes, very presumptuous.
Very presumptuous. So, Plagueis solves that issue. Talented apprentice, at least in the lightsaber department, but just didn't work out at the end. And, Tenebrous learns from his mistake of Venomous, chooses Plagueis instead.
It's a really awful section. He keeps him alive for some time after he loses a lightsaber duel to Plagueis, Venomous. And
yeah,
he eventually kills him after killing him multiple times over. And it's like, fine, I'm done with this. You can die for real now.
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough because he just survives to be Plagueis' guinea pig. But Tenebrous gets to glean some of that information because he gets to see the future once he's in Plagueis' body before he loses it completely.
Which is how he ties into Tenebrous, even though Plagueis is his alleged master.
Yeah.
So, of course, we also have, even though they never meet, we have Darth Bane himself as an influence from beyond the grave.
Oh, yeah.
800 years in the past on Tenebrous. What do you have to think about him in Tenebrous?
I like Darth Bane. Tenebrous, smart guy, chooses his heroes well, chooses his heroes well, but he does much in the style of Bane. I already talked about it a little bit, kind of accidentally. He follows Darth Bane's true ideal of remaining in power through his ego, and I can appreciate that. Anything to be more like Darth Bane. He was bald. Famously, Bith grow great big heads of hair. So, obviously, that's part of the Darth Bane influence as well. Clearly.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Every one of his influences is bald, actually, now that we're talking about it. Because I don't think any moons can't grow hair, I don't think.
No.
Venomous is Bith. Twi'leks don't have hair.
Nope.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. More of my people. Yeah, Bane, what can we say about Bane we haven't said before? He's the OG for a reason. The Sith lasted as long as they did. Yeah. In the new Sith Wars, they lasted from 2000 to 1000 BBY. But when you actually look at the history behind everything there, it's oh, we're winning. Oh, no, we're fractured. And the Jedi regained some territory. Oh, we're winning again. We're back in style. Oh, we're going to fight civil war and the Jedi regain some territory. Because we are stronger than them when there are a lot of us. But the thing is, we're also stronger. So we're going to kill this guy, assassinate him. I take his position. Now that split between the people who were in the conspiracy. And Bane's no, done. This is madness. If we're going to do the evil Sith thing, we're going to do it right. If you're going to do wrong, do right. And Tenebrous, for the most part, outside of the Venomous thing, follows in this way. based on Darth Bane's teachings. So we know he still has holocrons left behind by Bane that left some of these teachings behind. I'm sure they've been passed down from master to apprentice for hundreds of years. And why wouldn't they? You've got to start with the best. If you want to be better than him, you got to learn from the guy you want to be better than. So I also had honorable mentions here. Like we kind of talked beforehand. I don't know if there's anyone else we'd really add outside of Plagueis' parents that Tenebrous has a relationship with. He kind of puts them together so they can have an ultra ubermensch baby that he can train as an apprentice. That's kind of
that is kind of funny. He uses his like force precognition powers to determine that they need to have Darth Plagueis just because he'd be really strong in the force. Like, sets him up. So he's a manipulator for sure.
If you want to be a good Sith, you have to be. If you want to be a Sith that lives long, you have to be.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for your time listening to this episode. If you want to help sponsor our show, but you can't quite do the membership thing, commit to that once a month payment, good news, you can leave a donation on our Fourth Wall website. You also can get some free content over there. So if you don't have the money for the membership, but you still want to hear some of the extras and bonuses we do over on Fourth Wall, there's an option for that. If you want to support the show without that commitment every month, again, you can donate over there. Every little bit helps. You know, our show has a lot of needs when it comes to equipment, when it comes to going to some of the events we want to go to, advertising, getting the word out about our show. It takes a lot, and we really appreciate each and every person who's able to help us do it, even if it's something free, just like the free membership or leaving a rate and review on our site. Every little bit helps. Your time listening to this helps, and we appreciate all of you. We're so proud of the community we formed over at Systematic Ecology, and we're very happy and we're proud that you're a part of it. Thank you so much for your time and for being a part of this community.
All right. So one thing I found fascinating to this whole thing is that typically, you know, given that our audience is human based, a lot of our main characters are going to be human. And the fact that it's cheaper to do that, you don't need to put makeup on someone, latex or anything like that. But when you're writing novels, you get to throw the weirder stuff out there. And instead of another generic human Sith, we get a Bith, we get a Moon in Plagueis. Like, how interesting is it to you that, unlike what we used to, we get Tenebrous as a Bith?
I mean, it's fun, if not particularly interesting. Bith are very like cerebral, intelligent race. That's why most of them are musicians. I don't know if you know this, but playing instruments is kind of hard.
Yeah.
At least playing
a skill I don't have.
Yeah. So that's generally where we'll see them. We'll see them as scientists, musicians, rarely in positions of power. So it is cool. I do like being able to make that, you know, make it happen because it's a book. You don't have to pay for it. Bith are cool though. They have, you know, some of those fun little alien traits that show up. Like they breathe through their skin. They don't have noses. So it's definitely fun to explore, but they got big dumb heads.
I really appreciate this, other than the fact that we get a species that isn't human as a Sith Lord, and the fact that Star Wars and a lot of other shows like in series like Star Trek are very guilty of the planet of hats trope. Like, you know, every Bothan is a spy because we have many Bothans died, you know, getting the Death Star plans for the second one. All Wookiees are good guys for the most part. And Trandoshans are bad guys because they hunt Wookiees, therefore they can be bounty hunters and everything. To have a Bith, all we see in episode 4 is them as a band. And they're playing a sort of music I'm not going to say out loud because George Lucas just had to be himself.
They changed it though, right?
I really hope so, but who knows?
I'm pretty sure they changed it. It also, but that makes it doubly, if you know what we're talking about, makes it extra funny because Bith have evolved, like they're very advanced species. They don't need to sleep, and they've also like completely atrophied their reproductive organs. They have to do like artificial gestation. Like they cannot naturally reproduce anymore. Hilarious.
It's wild.
Hilarious tidbit.
Yeah, in light of all that does make it funnier.
Doesn't it?
But I like playing against the idea of this is what a species is supposed to be. Every Twi'lek is supposed to be either, a really buff dude fighting or like a slave girl to the newest hut that's around, a dancer. Like
They did not change it, by the way.
Okay.
They did not change it. They added a word.
Oh, okay.
Whalers. Like Wailers.
Yes. And they kept the last one.
They kept it's hyphenated now.
Okay.
Yeah. Or at least that's what the musicians are called. The genre is still the same.
Never changed, Star Wars. So I really appreciate it when a species is played against type, when you allow them to be multifaceted. We just don't have a schemer or someone like that or a bad guy because General Grievous is a bad guy. Therefore, every member of the Kalish race is also a bad guy, or Hook, or whichever one it is.
Yep, and that's why it's nice to have like Ayla Secura, Twi'lek Jedi.
Yes,
instead of being a dancer, we have Devin in Maul Shadow Lord.
Who's been great.
Spoilers. I haven't seen the last couple because I've been working.
Fair.
So I like it too. It's a lot of fun.
All right. So next up on our docket, what parts, we're asking this for everyone, what parts of Tenebrous's journey should we emulate or excise from our own lives? Some fairly obvious. Go ahead.
I think you should do your best to possess the mind of your successors.
I mean, that way you can ensure that things are run smoothly.
Yeah.
Because you already did a great job, right?
Yeah. Micromanagement
is no brainer.
It's great.
It's like, why would I ever let someone else's will be involved when I could be the guy?
Yeah. He also does, though, even in his schemes, and they are self-serving, but he does still advance his community. As Rugas Gnome, he still is contributing to his community, contributing to the field at large of, starship construction. It's the little things.
Yeah, it's always good to improve technology.
Do something, right?
Yeah, it benefits other people. That's a good one. Yeah, he makes great advances and stuff like that. He's willing to, he has a great thirst for knowledge. He uses it for wrong intentions, but, it's nice to have a good thirst. Want to understand things and test things and figure out if they could do it this way. What if I did it this way? Would that make things easier? But then when you go and think to things like, well, I'm going to create a virus that's going to strip the Jedi of their ability to use the Force, wrong way to go about it. But then he's a Sith, so that's something to expect from him. So you had a whole taking over things, thinking you're the only person who can be in charge. As someone who has to fight that instinct daily, I'd say that's a bad one. Excise that from your life. Enforcing your will upon others, trying to take over other people's lives. Yeah, we made fun of it earlier. Pretending like we liked it, we don't. Bad way of doing things. It's a bad leadership role. Your job is to inspire the next generation, teaching them the way you know how to do things, but letting them be their own person. And trying to actually become them, bad way to go about it. Your life is yours. Don't try and get another one.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about our boy Tenebrous before we move on?
No.
All right. TJ and I are also going to be asking ourselves a bonus question. So if that interests you, you can head down to the fourth wall link provided down below. Head that way. It's a little money our way. And you can be part of the team in that regard. Get some extra content, extra gear. Right now I'm wearing the Geeks on a Roll shirt because that's what we were doing earlier. But you know what? I'm proud to wear it a second time in another video. And the question we're going to be asking ourselves then, what part of the timeline of the Rule of Two would we like to see fleshed out more? We've got 1,000 years of history. We know kind of the beginning, a kind of bit of the end. We don't really know a lot of the other parts. So that's for that. Do you have a recommendation for the audience, TJ?
Rule of Two. Drew Caperson, Darth Bane.
That's an easy enough answer. It's a great one. The man knew what he was doing in all three of those books. I will say, for my recommendation, the other day I happened upon the first 2 volumes of Cardcaptor Sakura. I love the anime, and I read the first 2 volumes, and they're pretty great. It's a fun show, but also a fun manga. So I'd like to shout out some supporters. Thank you very much to Ethan Overcash, Austin Nance, Amber Riley, and Jonathan Augustine, Gunnar Bergam, and also Frank Troglauer. Thank you very much for all you guys do. But remember, we are all the chosen people, a geekdom of priests.
Hello there, listener. This is Evan Garcia, and I just wanted to jump in here to remind you and to let you know of our Facebook groups and our Discord server. These are great communities where you can post and share memes and talk with the hosts, and we have votes and some polls for future episode topics and fun interactions with our host. So just wanted to remind you that we are focused on community with you listeners, and we love each and every one of you guys listening. Thank you guys.
This show is a proud member of the Anazal Podcast Network. Other shows on the network include Be Living Water, where Joshua Knoll discusses various topics from a Taoist Christian perspective, inviting listeners to imitate Christ and be water, beneficial to all and a conflict with none. Friday Night Frights, Day and Christian Ashley discuss all things frightful, from UFOs to the paranormal to serial killers and more. Kung Fu Pizza Party, where Brandon discusses all things martial arts media, delivering high-flying action and wisdom, one slice at a time, all in under 30 minutes. And my other show with Christy Whaley, Theology on the Rocks, where two theology PhDs talk about our lives, the world, and theology. All over drinks, clearly. Come on over each week to hear two besties discuss academic nerd stuff while also banter endlessly, especially if wine is involved.